Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Cryptid Cocktail Party, a show where we have a few drinks, share a few laughs, take a dive into the unknown. I'm your host, Dave, joined as always by my wonderful co-host, Sarge. How you doing, Sarge?
Woo! The whales versus Vancouver.
You seem distracted.
Jeremy, we told somebody that you were coming on, and they immediately gave us a quote from the wrong person from Mallrats. But
that's hilarious. That wasn't me, but it's still a funny line.
It's still a funny line.
It's the same movie, so you're in the ballpark.
Yeah, we're in the ballpark.
Yeah,
and you're in the scene at least.
Just don't call me Brendan Fraser, and we're good.
Yeah, and I'll make sure not to use any Ben Affleck quotes.
And so the other voice you're hearing, if you don't already know, is Jeremy London. What's going on, man?
What's up, kids? What's up, boys and girls? Early day drinkers.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's Sunday.
I won't be imbibing. I don't drink, but I'll thoroughly enjoy watching you guys just go downhill slowly and methodically.
It is a slow kind of curve.
Yeah, watch you just start like a little bit of slowing action in there.
Yeah.
That's no problem.
You start to fall asleep eventually.
No.
But
Yeah.
I tend to do that to people anyway, so.
Oh, there you go. We're in New England. Well, I'm in New England. Dave's in Pennsylvania, but up here we're expecting some snow. So the way
lucky.
you prepare for snow is everyone goes to Walmart and buys bread and milk for no reason. Because you don't you buy milk even when you don't usually buy milk.
Yeah.
I don't know why people do it.
Well, it's like toilet paper for, when there was
pandemic,
or any other kind of scare, people straight go for the toilet paper. It's the creepiest, weirdest thing ever. Milk and bread makes more sense than toilet paper.
Right.
Because you can use bread as toilet paper if you had.
Yes, exactly.
Very valid.
You can't eat.
Exactly. You cannot eat toilet paper.
Right.
It is not recommended.
Right.
And
it's
then
there's food and beer, but there's no beer and food. Yeah.
Well, no. So after you buy all of your supplies, you go to the Packy, which is what we call a liquor store, and then you buy as much alcohol as you can carry, and then you just start drinking, and you stop drinking when the storm ends.
I think that's a thoroughly
irresponsible decision.
Sensible thing to do if you don't want to be present during any of it. But I get it. I get it.
I mean, you will go outside in the middle of the night to shovel while drunk.
Well, it just makes you tough. It makes you tough.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, gentlemen. I think I got a pretty good story for you guys today. Jeremy, are you like a cryptids, aliens, conspiracy kind of guy? Is that something you dive into?
Yes. Giorgio Tsoukalos has actually become a friend of mine. Yes and no. I have seen things though. I really have, man. I've seen ghosts, and I saw what can only be described as a UFO or UAP because it's nothing I've ever seen or could even describe. Yeah. And I've experienced some things.
You and I briefly talked about that on the Citizen's Guide episode we did.
Yeah, so there's something else there. Not to mention, you look up in the stars, and how could we possibly not? How could we possibly be the only ones here? Now, as far as cryptids on the Bigfoot and all of that stuff, I feel like we would have found that by now. I just feel like we would have found it. You know what I mean? That's, bones or something.
That's actually the standing position of this show is that Bigfoot doesn't.
Bigfoot's not. No.
It's just not. We can hunt down the most exotic animal on this planet. Go to the middle of the fucking South American rainforest and find some little monkey that's like this big, but you can't find a giant monkey in the United States where we don't really have monkeys that run wild.
Exactly. It's aliens. Aliens drop them for covert missions, and then they come back and pick them up. Obviously.
Well, no, they could also be interdimensional too. So don't forget that one.
So they're all like Chewbacca.
Exactly. They come down with a weird.
I would like to think that all of the big feats out there, whatever you call them, all have spaceships. and that they fly them really well, and that they're actually the pilots of them. That would be a much more entertaining story.
And they wear cloaking devices, so that's why all their pictures are blurry.
There's just as much a likelihood of this being true as there is of there actually being a Bigfoot on this planet. And
you're 100%.
Yeah, we would have found it.
But we still talk about it because it's weird.
I love it because people are weird.
Luckily today we're not going to be talking about cryptids. I actually chose something a little bit stranger than that. So today we're going to be going to Hokkaido, Japan, specifically the city of Kitami, which when translated into English means seeing abundant joy, which I really like. I think that's cute. It's a cute name for a town.
I like that.
Yeah.
I also like that Japan has mascots for everything.
They do. They don't have a mascot for this because it would be fucking nightmarish, but
Japan has Japan has some really good eerie, like there's some crazy eerie things over in Japan though. Like they really do. Like, so this is going to be good. I'm looking forward to this. It better be good.
I promise it will be.
No pressure. No pressure.
Kitami is also known for its yearly ice flows. It produces an abundance of peppermint candies that it's well known for. It's also well known for the sport of curling, which I fucking love. Like that sport is top notch.
I love curling.
I don't fully understand it, but for some reason it's like super hypnotic to watch. Like just at the fucking the brushes. I don't know.
Fun. I think it would be fun.
I don't know either, but it makes me so happy to watch him do it because to me there's nothing more Canadian than vigorously cleaning ice.
You're not wrong. That's definitely a pastime.
Well, if you go, like, now, like, the equipment they use actually kind of makes sense when you see it. But, like, if you go back, like, 20 years and see what they were using, they were, like, literally using, like, straw brooms. They're, like, clear. Yeah. I'm like, how is that actually doing anything?
They just had a Wolverine tied to a stick.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right, Japan. So where are we again in Japan?
All right, we're in Kitami, the city of Kitami. Now, while all these, seem like super awesome things to be known for, there's something else that Kitami can call its own, and that is that it is home to, and I have said this several times on the show, but this time I really mean it, one of the wildest alien abduction stories that we have ever covered. Like, it's kind of gross. It's weird, has some crazy twists and turns. So are you guys ready to dive into it?
I would expect nothing less from a country that has vending machines full of used women's underwear.
Yeah.
God damn it, Sarge.
Yeah, no, it's got to be twisted. My brother went to Japan. My brother went to Japan, and he said that, like, on every subway, all of the older men are just sitting there on their phones watching porn in public.
On the subway?
On the
That's
train,
amazing.
on the subway. Like,
it's
that's
no
just, they're very dressed nice, very polite, but they're all watching porn. Anyway, sorry, I digress.
That's the same thing that you would find anywhere on the MBTA, but except for the dress nice part.
Yeah, the dress nice
part. It's a guy wearing basketball shorts and like a Adidas track jacket.
Yeah, these guys got they look like businessmen, and they are probably. They're just I guess
they just
it's
like
just
to party.
Weird. Anyway, so I digress again. Sorry.
All right. So in the year of our Lord, 1974, 28-year-old vegetable farmer Yoshiro Fujiwara, which I'm just going to call Yoshi from now on because that is an aggressive name to try and say over and over again. He was just living his life. He spent his days tending his crops and his nights resting up to spend another day tending to his crops. He's like a real blue collar kind of guy. And like, he didn't give into like flights of fancy. He doesn't really believe in ghosts or aliens or monsters, anything like that. Just real salt of the earth kind of guy. But on April 6th of that year, in the early hours of the morning, that all changed. So at around 3 a.m., Yoshi's dog started barking uncontrollably. So before Yoshi even had a chance to try and like calm his dog down, there was a loud pounding on his front door. Exhausted and probably super pissed, like now that he has to get up, he goes and opens the door to see what's causing all the ruckus. And when he opens the door, he's pretty much ready to give whoever was out there just a piece of his mind. Like, fuck you. Why are you at my house? Yeah. But what greeted him wasn't a neighbor or the cops or even a human. Standing on his doorstep was a creature whose appearance could only be described as quote unquote defying logic. It was roughly.
But they were polite and they rung the bell. And so they get some credit right off the top. They rung the bell. Or they knock. They knocked.
They knocked. But
they knocked.
What happens next? They don't deserve anything. Okay. So it was roughly 3 feet tall, and it was wearing what seemed to be like a clear vinyl suit, like those clear raincoats that you could see through. Kind of wearing something like that. Its head was bulbous and octopus-like, with downward slanting eyes, a wide grinning mouth, and a single V-shaped slit where its nostrils should be. And
I hate all of this.
It's a gray. One of the grays.
No, it's worse. It stood on what I guess 2 legs. I get pretty much what it is its torso, if you can call it that. It's just like a fleshy lump. And then coming off of it were 4 starfish-like limbs that ended in rounded nubs. So like 2 legs and 2 arms, I guess. Now, the skin beneath the clear suit was brown, bumpy, and coated in some sort of slime. And it was also dotted with blue and yellow scab-like spots. Like, they weren't on the skin like it was like a color. It was like these were like lesions on its skin. Now, on its head, it wore like a blue cone-like helmet thing with like a little antenna on top that emitted bursts of visible electricity that like rippled across its body. So it's like an electrified.
This is like Marvin the Martian just showed up with like a leprosy. He's like,
it's not ideal.
Like Marvin the Martian with radiation poisoning.
Yeah, Marvin got too close to the radiator.
Just imagine like being awoken at 3 a.m. and opening your front door. Like you're still sleepy and that's the first thing you see. Like that would ruin anyone's day almost immediately. Like
I think it would change everything, wouldn't it?
Oh, for sure.
I think you answer the door and there's a fucking anime villain waiting for you.
You're like looking around for Bugs Bunny and like Yosemite.
Yeah, right.
Like, what am I? Please tell me.
Why are you wet?
Before Yoshi could fully process what he was seeing, because I mean, that's a lot to take in when you're abruptly woken up at 3 a.m. The entity raised one of its starfish arms, and an intense and unbearably hot orange beam of light filled Yoshi's house. Now, Yoshi's terrified at this point. He's shitting bricks, so he ran back to his bedroom, and I assume hid under the covers. I don't know, but that's what I would have done. Like, it's like one of those, like, if they can't see me, I can't see them, we're good. Unfortunately, that didn't work for old Yoshi, because through his window, he could see a craft hovering about 70 feet above the ground in a nearby field. The craft was small, about 5 feet high and 26 feet in diameter, and was emitting orange rays of light. Then, suddenly, Yoshi felt a warm gust of air at his feet, and then some invisible force started pulling him towards the window, out of his house, and into the craft. Now, to make it just a little weirder, he wasn't being pulled into like a hatch or a door on the craft. He was being like absorbed through the hull. Like you know, like when the like you know, like when the Flash can like he can like vibrate so fast that he can go through things. It's kind of like that.
Feels like an episode of an anime show or something.
Yeah,
really
I'm waiting for 5 smaller crafts to come together to form one large.
Like what was that thing from Power Rangers where they all melded together to make the one big robot? It's kind of like that.
Transform.
I mean, I'm old, so I'm thinking of Voltron right off the bat.
Voltron and the GoBots, all those guys. Yes, that's funny. Yeah. So he's getting sucked into the hull, like absorbed into like the skin of the craft.
Yeah, like he just went through it. Like he didn't go through a door or hatch, just like right through. Now, once inside, Yoshi found himself in a blue parallelepiped shaped room, which I found out is a room where all the walls are parallelograms. I had to look it up because I didn't know what that meant.
What the actual fuck?
Yeah, I don't know. Now, the walls were covered in lamp-like structures, air vents, and what appeared to be a sign with writing that looked vaguely Japanese, but was pretty much unreadable. The air was very thick with like a nauseating scent, but before he even had a chance to really get his bearings, he was once again face to face with not one, but 2 of those little octopus fellas. Now, Yoshi panicked and tried to stand up, but despite them being, just small little guys, they had surprising strength. They were holding Yoshi down as he tried to get away. But, them being the nice people, they did reassure him telepathically that, quote, no danger. We promise to release you close to your home, end quote. So that's,
This has the makings of a really kinky tentacle porn.
It all just ties back to anime. That's really all it does.
extremely strong. Like this is a hentai for sure. Extremely strong tentacle-bearing creatures holding you down on a table. I mean,
it seems like he was just incredibly aware the whole time. There's a lot of details. That's a lot of details to remember for these situations. Are usually far more, sort of revealed through hypnosis later, trauma, whatever.
He had to lock it away.
Yeah. This shit's
I would definitely repress the hell out of this.
Genuinely, locked away for a bit. But wow, holy cow!
It's inside me.
So are they? Did the probes come out? This guy, they're telling him he's okay, but then what they do?
No. So what happened next is that they tried to reassure him, but he wasn't hearing any of that. Like, he didn't want to know what was going to come next. So he mustered all of his strength and he broke free from these little jelly fucks. And then he stumbled his way through a partially open hatch. Fortunately for him, or just by the grace of God, when he jumped out of the hatch, he only fell like 10 feet off the ground. Like, they didn't really go anywhere.
I would like to think also that he used karate on them. Can we at least say he used karate on them? Because that would be awesome.
So I'm thinking of like the opening to the Mr. Bean TV show where he just slaps onto the ground in a beam of light.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, like, even though it's 10 feet, like, that still sucks. Like, falling 10
that would hurt. That would hurt really, really bad.
like
you don't break anything.
Yeah. I just feel bad for the guy.
The fall wouldn't be the problem. It would be the stop.
Yeah, exactly.
The end of the fall would be the problem.
And then imagine, like, he's in his pajamas, he's in his underwear or whatever. He gets up and he's like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh. And then he starts, like, hobbling back to his little house.
So I need to hear the rest of this. This is crazy.
So as soon as he hit the ground, he's, I'm sure, just full of adrenaline. So he scrambled to his feet and he ran to a nearby house. When the homeowners finally opened their doors, they found Yoshi standing there pale, wide-eyed, and visibly shaken. The neighbors took him in, and once inside, I assume he looked at a clock or something. He realized that his experience had lasted about an hour and a half, but for him, it only felt like a matter of minutes. Now, after Yoshi regained some sense of calm, which, I mean, I don't know how
I'd be done.
How much he would calm down after that, but he must have somehow just mellowed out for just a minute. He made the 2-mile trek back to his house. Apparently, they had gone over 2 miles, so that's crazy. I don't know.
That's an important detail.
That's a long walk.
Yeah. Not really.
I think I would need to walk that much, at least after something like that happened.
Yeah.
I would need to take a good long sobering walk.
Yeah, I might take up cigarettes again just to get this out of my system.
Making some stops along the way. Pardon me, do you have any heroin I could probably inject in my eyeballs, because I need to do a lot of forgetting. I need to be doing a lot of forgetting.
Pardon me, good sir. Do you have any meth? I just had an experience.
Pardon me?
I feel like meth would make an alien abduction way worse.
Yes,
you would remember way more than you want to, I bet.
That's a good point. You're right.
You would definitely use karate.
Yeah, we'll definitely say he used karate. Now,
yes.
No one else in the area had reported seeing anything unusual that night, but according to one UFO investigator who looked into the case, a middle schooler who lived near Yoshi named Miyuki Fujita claimed she had seen a bright light outside of her window around the time of his abduction, but no, she didn't go up to see what it was, so who knows. Now, this alone is a pretty cool story if it ended here, but I'm not in the business of wasting your time.
There's more.
This shit gets wild.
Oh, God.
Oh, this is
Please tell me it shows up
wonderful.
like a baseball game and it turns out to be a mascot for the Yokohama Giants or something.
Dude.
3 of them stuck. 3 of them get into a trench coat. They show up.
Sir, your
They're like, this knock sounded higher on the door than the last knock. That can't be the aliens.
So Jeremy's not far off in a sense.
Ah!
So please Groucho Marx glasses with the mustache.
So the next day, less than 24 hours after his abduction, Yoshi began experiencing severe pain in his ears and a burning sensation in his fingertips. He soon fell into a trance-like state and started drawing strange hieroglyphs that neither he nor anyone else could decipher, claiming that he was compelled to do so by some unseen force. Then, a booming voice in his head issued a command. It said, quote, "When the disc lands on the mountain, you will come and board by yourself." And on April 8th, he did just that. Yoshi and two of his buddies, names unknown, climbed up Nikora Mountain. And before reaching the summit, Yoshi told his friends, like, you just hang back for a bit. And he hiked the rest of the way to the top by himself. There, the craft awaited him, and he boarded willingly. Now, whether it was actually willingly or if he was compelled to do so by them somehow, I don't really know. But what happens next is probably the opposite of what you think is going to happen. They just wanted a buddy to joyride with. They just wanted to fucking cruise the solar system and just vibe with this dude. So the beings flew him around the moon, then twice around the Earth, and then just an hour and a half later, just dropped him back off on the top of the mountain. I mean, he did immediately collapse afterwards.
I've smoked that strain of weed before too, Yoshi. Sure you did, Yoshi.
Sure, Yoshi. Sure, bud.
Yeah, so
you sure you're a vegetable farmer, pal?
Yeah, sure, Yoshi. No, sure, buddy.
Fucking took him for a ride. Yeah, so they dropped him back off on the mountain afterwards. He immediately collapses. I'm gonna guess it was probably due to exhaustion rather than something nefarious. Dude's had a busy 24 hours.
Busy day, yeah, for sure.
This would do that to you. This would do that to you.
Yeah, I'm sure once like the adrenaline wore off, like he was just done. He was cooked. He's like, I'm just done. Now, luckily for Yoshi, though, his two friends, they hadn't immediately like fucked off, and they were able to like come back and get him and bring him back home. Now, according to Yoshi, it took several days for him to recover after his second trip with his new starfish friends. But during his recovery, he discovered that he had developed psychic abilities. He wasn't only able to communicate with the little jelly dudes, but also had telekinetic abilities as well, and could bend like small pieces of metal like spoons and shit with his mind. Now, once Yoshi had fully recovered from his intergalactic burn run, the entities returned on April 13th, 1974, and invited him to go on one final trip. Now, this time, they flew past Mars, checked out that big-ass storm that's going on Jupiter, like the eye of Jupiter, and then for their final stop, they took the craft down onto Saturn's moon, Titan. There, one of the little beings got off the ship, picked up a rock, and gave it to Yoshi as like a little souvenir, like something to remember them by.
That was super sweet.
Yeah, they just literally just wanted to hang out with someone.
These guys sound like bros.
Yeah.
Get in, Yoshi. We're doing butt stuff.
No, we're not doing that. Sorry, Charlie. Goddamn. No.
You won't remember all of this.
You're gonna remember every inch.
Oh God, that's bummed me out. No,
I think this is probably the sweetest alien abduction story I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah,
because these gross, disgusting
this to be
aliens.
So true. I want this to be true.
These disgusting aliens just wanted a companion.
Yeah, so I guess this is before we continue. I guess this is a good point. Like to ask this, Jeremy, how are we feeling so far about this story? Like, where are you at with what's going on?
Absolutely no way any of this happened, but I love that somebody had such a wonderful moment of whatever the hell, what is it when you're sleep? What is it? Sleep paralysis.
Sleep paralysis.
This is the best case of sleep paralysis I've ever heard.
Could be way worse.
Yeah,
it's exactly how I go into every episode.
It could be way worse. I mean, it sounds like an episode of like The Simpsons or something. You know what I mean? Like this doesn't sound like this sounds too fun to be true. Like, you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I just want it to be true. You know?
Oh yeah. It has to be true because it makes me so happy that I don't care if it's a lie.
Yeah.
He apologizes for using karate on them. that's like one of the scenes. They're like, oh, and he's like, oh, and by the way, like when you guys showed up, like I didn't mean to fuck you guys up.
The alien's like, man, you punched me right in the scabs.
Listen, man, I'm not used to you guys. Oh, the scabs out.
My lesions burst open.
Oh, good lord, yeah. Now you're getting into real anime. That's real anime. Like that's actual anime.
I feel like we do a lot of these episodes where we know that it's probably not true, but me and Sarge always decide that it is true just because
want
it's such
it to
a
be
good.
true.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always that. Like my higher reasoning skills tell me no, there's no way this happened. But I don't care. I want it to be true, and so it's going to be true for me.
Well, it's for the same reason that I don't believe in like the stories in the Bible and stuff like that were written 300 and 400 years after anybody. They're all it's like the game of of telephone in a classroom. You can't tell a story around 15 kids and it doesn't change. Not to mention 15 centuries of trying to tell a story or whatever. But it's just There was never a time when people were more magical than they are now. There was never a time when they were
exactly,
especially back whenever people lived in caves and clay huts and shit. There's no way that they were more advanced than we are. Maybe they were extremely intelligent because they were able to do some amazing things, but they weren't. There was never a time in our existence when people were magical. There just wasn't. There was never real wizards. There was never real. It just was. I just don't believe in that was actually a thing.
I don't want to correct you, but have you ever seen David Blaine? Because
you should see what he can do with a deck of cards.
He's magical. He's
Yoshi can now bend spoons. So I mean,
yep.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
could Yuri Geller until they found out later that
true.
it was all bullshit.
Now, Dave, tell me why Yoshi's story is true, because now I need to know that this is true.
Why is it true?
Yes, it's true.
I'm about to break your heart. So once back on Earth, the rock that he was gifted by the little starfish men, he had it analyzed, hoping for proof of his experience, but the tests revealed it to be a piece of stalactite from like a local cave in the region. Now,
I hate you.
I'm so sorry.
That dude DMT will make you do some crazy.
No, Yoshi at this point was already getting ridiculed because he's going around telling people that he flew around the sun a bunch of times with the starfish people, but not only by those in the community, but eventually the press got wind of all of this. So now he's getting it from like all angles. So one would think, like with others who experience extraterrestrial encounters, he'd become sort of like a recluse, trying to avoid any further public scrutiny. Not our boy Yoshi. No, he went in the opposite direction. Like a sandwich made with chicken instead of bread. Motherfucker doubled down. All right. Are you ready for this? So
yes.
So even though the saran wrap starfish never came back, he continued to claim he was still in almost constant contact with them. He also began to refer to himself as the spokesperson for the quote unquote Summon Call Space Union, or SAMCALL for short. He did not elaborate on who and or what would be summoned or why one would need to call upon them. Like what's the reasons? Don't know. Seems super ominous. He even claimed that he was able to focus his psychic abilities, which allowed him to teleport over immense distances, claiming he could teleport to a star 250 million light years away in just 6 minutes. Which, if you can teleport, that seems like a long time. I feel like
it's a really long. It's like 6 minutes is a long way to go
for teleportation. That's a long time.
I think what happened here is that Yoshi's mushrooms didn't wear off.
I think what happened here is that Yoshi, I think all drugs do they open up channels in our brain that are already there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, some people, those channels just open up, and unfortunately, delusional psychosis.
Yeah.
Split personality. That's whenever all kinds of things happen where people are genuinely seeing things that we can't see, but they're seeing it and experiencing it.
Yeah.
Not to get too true crime podcasty, but he's fucking absolutely right. I mean, there's so many serial killers that started doing drugs and then drinking blood from people because they thought their organs were disappearing. So it does make a lot of sense.
Well, you think that, I never understood homeless people that I would see in LA shouting at themselves in a window, right? Like having conversations with themselves. I'm like, what the hell? And then I did mushrooms. And then I was like, oh, okay. Never mind.
Yelling at your liver to stay inside you.
You can see things that aren't there, that aren't happening. Like you can see a tree talking to you, but it's not really talking to you. I've taken acid where my face, I looked in a mirror and my face jumped off of the head down onto the table and started talking to me. I saw that.
That sounds
really,
fucking awful.
I would really have
every
it.
second of
like
that.
that. No,
It
I
was
wouldn't
so
enjoy
stressful. It was so stressful.
Stressful?
But-
yeah, I would say so. That's like just downplaying that. The panic I would feel.
The way you said that, it was just like, great. Now my face is talking to me. Great.
My brain tricking me because the chemistry in my brain
Yeah.
was triggered so much so that channel opened up in our brain. Like all of our brains all of that stuff is all in all of us. It's like what door gets open, what channel gets open. And
I mean, it also could also be like maybe it's not like a mental psychosis or even drugs. Like he lived his life as a mundane vegetable farmer every day in a small city in Japan. You know what I mean? Like maybe he was like, I'm fucking done with this. Like maybe he thought it was like a grift. Maybe he might make some money. Yeah, or like he could have just been like, maybe
he's like, I'm bored.
Easy money.
Like, he saw a program where somebody got rich off of one of these stories, and he was out there, in the cold and the muck up to his waist for cabbage. He's like, fuck this. I'm gonna get abducted by aliens. That's gonna be
I don't really blame him when I think about it that way, because like,
yeah,
if I'm a farmer in 1970s small town Japan, I'm probably gonna take my shit on the road
better.
too.
I need something better. Yeah, he read the dude that is responsible for all the ancient alien stuff. That Dutch dude. He read that or whatever. Probably, and he was like, "Oh man, I need to come up with one of these stories."
Exactly.
He said that guy sold how many books? Oh yeah, oh yeah. Fuck this cabbage farming shit.
So the teleportation, the psychic abilities, that's not even like the coolest thing that he's able to do now. He's now able to prevent natural disasters like earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Now,
not working out for Japan.
Yeah.
So how is he able to stop natural disasters like volcanoes, you may be asking? Well, Yoshi has access to not one, not two, but 3 UFOs, stating, quote, I have 3 UFOs for activities, and usually I hide the barrier.
Greedy.
For activities?
That's just greedy. That's just greedy. The guy thinks he's like Jay-Z of the like alien. Like he's like, I go. One's not enough.
His episode of Cribs is just like, these are my UFOs. This one's murdered out. It's black on black.
It's just this shitty little shack, and then he's got these 3 UFOs.
Yeah. We all realize Yoshi is so full of shit.
Nah, dude, he's baller as fuck. Now,
one of his UFO is just a giant spinner.
All right, let's get back to Yoshi.
Yeah,
all right,
Yoshi.
back to Yoshi.
Let's get back to Yoshi. All right, so Yoshi, we now know that he has not 1, not 2, but 3 UFOs that he just has for activities. Now, he claims that these UFOs allow him to travel inside the hollow earth.
Thank God.
Did he at least say that when we was up there scouting around in space that the earth was round? Please at least tell me that.
Yeah.
At least it's a round hollow earth, right?
It's round, but it's hollow. Now, he can go inside the hollow earth, and he can prevent the flow of magma by shoving rocks inside the volcano's inner channels. Now, unclear if he moved the rocks with like his mind or with UFO technology. It's also unclear on how he prevented earthquakes. Like the volcanoes, I kind of get if you're blocking magma. But I don't understand how you stop an earthquake. But either way.
I mean, he kind of dropped the ball in 2004, 2011.
I'm feeling like I'm starting to get dumber with it. As the story progresses, I feel like my IQ is lowering. Please continue. I don't need all these brain cells. Please continue.
So this is the part of the episode where we salute you, Yoshi. Thank you for preventing an unspecified number of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions.
Yeah, I mean, when you see the ones that did happen and you think like, man,
he could be dead by now. Maybe that's why.
Look at the Fukushima power plant. Yeah, they haven't. I think they would beg to differ.
But he probably stopped like Yellowstone.
Maybe he was dead. He was already 30 in 1980, so maybe he didn't like make it. You know?
Maybe.
Anyways, but that's it. That's all there is to know about Yoshi and his. There's no like real conclusion.
I think that's all we need
to
know about
Yoshi.
Yeah.
I think
this is a roller coaster.
I need to know about Yoshi.
Yeah. So,
I went from loving Yoshi and his story to thinking he's a dickhead.
He's kind of a piece of shit.
It got stupid, but I'll tell you, it is fun, and I would love to believe that it's true.
It's a fun story.
It is a fun story. I've never heard this one. It seems like there's probably a reason. But it does feel like it feels like an anime, like an episode of an anime.
It's like a manga that went off course.
Yeah. And
if anything, this is a filler episode of an anime. It's not the main story. This is a filler
it's not
episode.
the main story. This is just
it's like a cultural thing. It's like when you go to say, like if you watch ghost hunting videos, which now I just think are just all mostly so dumb. Wherever you go, whatever spirit is there regionally is the one that always shows up. So like if you're in the Middle East, the ghost always shows up in fire, right? Fire always shows up.
It's like a jinn or something like that.
The jinns always show up in fire, and they're all these completely black little creatures with long hair that you can tell somebody was just painted black and they act weird. And in Japan, it's always the white-faced girl with the black eyes and the black hair.
Yeah.
And so the fact that the culture defines the entity is more reason for me to believe more than not that it's not true and that it's, what I mean?
I mean, maybe the ghosts are landlocked, though. I mean, the same reason we don't have giraffes here in America.
But are they? Are they just so uncreative that they just do the exact same thing that the last demon did or the last ghost did? Like none of them have any originality. Like it's like I can't wait to die and be a ghost so I can be a pale-faced girl with black eyes and black hair and haunt everything.
I mean, I wouldn't mind being that ghost.
Right? I mean, if you're going to be one.
You want to be the one with the head down and the long hair, and you want to twitch around, make people uncomfortable.
I just always said that if I'm gonna be a ghost, I just want to haunt a place that has a really good TV and cable setup, so I can watch some good shit while I'm haunting the place,
or at least a good sound system.
Good sound system, good sound system.
Yeah,
hot chick that lives there that's always getting naked.
Listen, I'll haunt you guys in a minute, but the Mr. Plow Simpsons episode is on, so it's kind of my jam.
Okay,
I've seen that one. I don't know if I've seen that.
Right.
Mr. Plow, it's a good episode.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Anyway, so I guess I'll start. We're just gonna breeze past that, Sarge, whatever that was. But
look, Linda Ronstadt's in it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I'm gonna start with you, Jeremy. Thoughts, questions, concerns, comments, anything you want to talk about this episode?
I wanted it so bad to be true. Right. I mean, it started off
when you started doubling down is when it kind of got off the rails. I feel like.
Yeah. I think that it's almost like the he doth protest too much kind of thing. Like if you would have just left it alone, it would have been easier to digest. But because he felt like he had to keep adding dumb fuel to the dumb fire, it just kind of just kept getting more dumb. Yeah. And so he basically delegitimized himself by feeling like he had to overcook it, overcooking it. The ego, the narcissism, you know what I mean? Like, so it makes me somebody that with that type of hubris is capable. Somebody that's capable of making up the back end part of that story is capable of making up the front end part of that story, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, it could also be like maybe he did experience something and then he was like, well, now this is my meal ticket. Now I have to make it even more crazy because no one's going to just buy the story of a dude who was abducted and then just dropped on top of a mountain. I mean, they probably could, but if you make it way more fantastical, whatever the word is, fantastical. You know what I'm trying to say. Fantastical, sure.
That word's way more interesting, though. That was much better word.
It was aggressive. Maybe he was thinking I got to make this way more fascinating, way more crazy to try and get a bigger buck out of it. It could be that too. Maybe he did see a.
He flew too close to the sun,
literally.
Icarus.
Icarus, he did.
He literally flew too close to the sun.
But only in the one that goes close to the sun. He's got 3. One of them goes underground.
Yeah, one of the spaceships.
One goes underwater. One goes really close to the sun.
One's just for the ladies. One just has spinners in it. And there's nice couches inside.
Exhibit came and fucking pimped his UFO. Yeah.
Hey man, I heard you like spaceships, so I made your spaceship a spaceship.
Yeah, something like that.
PlayStation 5 in the back.
Sarge, how you feeling? You got thoughts, questions, concerns?
I am heartbroken at the turn it took because I was ready to just believe that there were some lonely aliens that found a lonely farmer. Tale as old as time, you know, a buddy cop movie, but instead of cops, the aliens and a guy. And then he just doubled down and he was like, let's go to space a couple of times.
He should have left well enough alone. Like the rock thing, like just keep it in your house. Don't get it analyzed and just say that it was a rock. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think what
he
happened
screwed
here
himself.
Is that he got really high and thought all this happened. Found a rock where he thought he was on Titan, and then when they told him it wasn't that, he was like, "Oh, it must have been all the drugs I did. Better double down so no one thinks I'm on drugs."
He also could be like epileptic and have these weird seizures where he has bizarre brain electric activity. That
could be it.
It could be why he was passed out on top of the mountain too. Like,
it could affect him. But another thing I don't buy though is that the friends just let him go, and then all of a sudden he came back with this crazy story. Like, give me a break.
Like an hour, like they waited an hour.
They're
and a
like,
half
we're gonna wait
on the
here
mountain.
for you while you go visit with your alien friends. You don't have to prove it. We believe you.
What shitty friends that they weren't like, take us with you.
Yeah, they're like, prove it.
Well, he did prove it. He brought back the rock. You know?
So they basically went out to the caves. They went out to the caves. He went into the cave, got some, brought it out, and said, "You're never going to believe what happened to me."
And they're like, "You're right. We're not."
Maybe there was like maybe there was a methane like leak in the cave. So like while he was in there, he was like breathing.
See, that would have worked.
He didn't have his canary with him, and there was no way to tell if it was poisonous gas.
Yeah, they didn't realize. Maybe that's the thing the whole time. Maybe he just had like a gas leak in his house, and he didn't realize it, and so he was going.
Oh, that's a
because there's this great story about this guy who kept finding Post-it notes around his house, and he literally thought his house was haunted, but because out of nowhere, all these Post-it notes would always be showing up, and he didn't know where they were coming from, and it turned out
was it carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide?
Yeah, carbon monoxide.
One of those two, yeah.
Yeah, it was carbon monoxide.
He was like being slowly poisoned with carbon monoxide.
Yeah, and he wasn't remembering and recalling it,
Yeah.
Hold on. Isn't that just the plot to the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman? Isn't that...
No. This is different.
That's kind of what...
No, this is different because it was on Reddit. But I don't care if it's true. It's a great story.
So there's a lot of when you think about all of the things that it possibly could be, other than actual scabby alien starfish showing up.
Yeah, he's also a farmer. I'm sure he's working with like pesticides, manures, things like that. Like
100%.
Like toxicology wise, he's probably not doing great.
Surrounded by
you guys know about the dance?
Nitrate,
did you guys ever hear about the dancing pandemic? And like I think it was like
Germany
or something like that. Or was it France?
The ergot. France. Yeah,
it could be something like that. It could be something that seeps into his skin from the.
Yeah, there was the dancing pandemic, and then in Africa, I think there was also the laughing pandemic.
Yeah.
Where everyone laughed themselves to death. Basically. Well, that's it. That's our episode. Thank you so much for everyone who listened. Thank you to Jeremy for coming on. Thanks to Sarge for always being here. Jeremy, before we go, is there anything that you want to plug? You got anything going on? Anything you want?
Oh, man, I've got a movie called Boneface that's about to come out. It is not a porn, I promise you.
Well, damn, no one's going to want to watch it now.
It's a slasher in the woods. You don't want to see me naked. I'm 52. It's a slasher in the woods kind of whodunit thing, and I get to play the sheriff, sort of Sherlock Holmes role in it, and so that's kind of fun. And also another movie that you can get on Amazon called Open, sort of this fun kind of has a musical element to it.
Ooh.
Kind of dramedy, dark comedy.
Sweet.
Like that.
And just finished a movie called The Neglected with Josh Duhamel and Dylan Sprouse.
Oh, cool.
Ooh, hell yeah.
It's the 30th anniversary this year of Mallrats. So we're going to be doing some Mallrats events this year.
So my buddy, he's a big Kevin Smith fan. He wanted me to ask you if Mallrats 2 is actually still going forward.
It'll never happen. Kevin announced it was going to happen when
he does that a lot, though. I think that he announces a lot of things.
He announced it when my son was 6 months old. My son's almost 11. So I'm pretty sure it's not going to happen. And not to mention, I think that since we lost Shannon, that's probably like a big.
That's true. That's a big loss.
Might have been a part of the story that he doesn't know.
So, Sarge, is there anything you want to plug?
Well,
before we sign off,
SargeIsSupernormal.com for the coloring book. If you're still interested, I know I've been beating this horse for quite a while, but if you still haven't purchased it for $9.99, you can get it. It's a lot of fun, a lot of pages for you to take out your frustrations on the current administration that's probably going to last for the rest of our lives. And then otherwise, TikTok's fucked off, but I'm still on Instagram.
It's back. For some reason, it's back. Oh yeah!
Oh, I missed it. I missed it.
I went on
back with a big old Trump brought it back for you, kids.
Yeah, I went on this morning and it had that notification saying like it's shut down. Yeah, and then I went on like 2 hours ago and it was right back to what it was. Yeah, it's bananas. It's not ideal.
I have no idea. I felt so bad for that guy that we talked to. You sent me I felt so bad for him. I was like, buddy.
Yeah.
You can find me on other places. I'll find you. We'll still be friends, but I'm glad it's back because my son, he does stop motion animation with Lego.
Oh, hell yeah.
His name is Mr. Emmett on TikTok. He's got 30 followers.
Cool. Well, my son would follow that. My son would like that.
Yeah, he was heartbroken yesterday, so I'm gonna go and tell him as soon as we're done here because he's gonna be so excited.
So check out Jeremy's movies. He's got a bunch coming out. Check out Sarge's coloring book. He's got the one coming out. It's already out.
You can buy it right now.
If you want to follow us, you can follow us on Instagram at Cryptid Cocktail. Follow us on TikTok, maybe still at Cryptid Cocktail Party. We also have a Patreon. We just decided to do that. If you're not feeling like you want to spend a bunch of money and you don't care about bells and whistles, we have a tier. It's only $3 a month. It's the friend of the show tier. $3 just supports the show, helps us. Podcasting get expensive. If you want some fancy stuff, we have a tier that's called the Nerd tier. It's $7 a month. You're going to get unedited video episodes, starting with this one today with Mr. Jeremy London.
So you can watch me drink and vape in real time.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And it'll be unedited. So whatever, you don't hear in the audio version, you'll hear in this one.
Uh-oh.
You can hear all of Sarge's farts.
Yeah.
His belly rumbling.
So consider supporting the show, either $3 or $7 a month. It doesn't really matter. But you'll get some cool stuff here and there, bonus content, stuff like that. And with that out of the way, normally at the end of the episode, I'll ask Sarge if he wants to say goodbye and I love you to the audience. But Jeremy, I feel like this episode, would you like to say goodbye and I love you to the audience?
This is the thing. It's been real. Listen, it's not you. It's me. Got a place where I have to move on, so that you can be a better person. I'm just bringing you down. I'm just dragging you down. I really am. And if I just keep doing this, you guys will never, ever get to your whatever it is you're doing now.
You'll never see your full potential.
No, you'll never see it because I'm just going to keep it going and dragging you down.
Yeah.
And eventually, you're just going to get bitter.
If I ever need to break up with someone, I'm using that. That was good.
Yeah. It's not you. It's me.
I felt empowered.